It's treated myself to this bad boy, recurve, £40 draw weight. Now, normally I have a compound and I have a £20 draw weight training bow. Bought this off Amazon and it sucks. I was hitting the £20 and I was getting grouping. I'm not a very good shot, but at least even my terrible shots are somewhat they're grouped together. So they might not be in the target, but they'll still be together. The compound has got like a bunch of issues with it. It needs a whole set of new expensive bits. So, but it's my birthday coming up. I'm turning 30, so I wanted to treat myself. So I got that and nothing. Couldn't hit air. Terrible. Can't explain it. But I just thought I'd show you anyway because it looks fine. It's just, I'm bad. I'm just a bad shot. I think, yeah. Anyway, okay, so we've got a bunch of different things, so we're going to go through them really quick. So I'm just going to get this one right out of the way. The new Hunger Games trailer come out this week. I don't care about this franchise at all. I don't even know why I brought it up. It's my show. I shouldn't have to. Terrible, boring. Who cares? Franchise. Do you know what? I liked Battle Royale. I liked Battle Royale. I thought that was because the Hunger Games is an interesting concept, but every single one of them's the same. Like, I'm doing it. Oh no, I've got to kill people. But you knew that going in. And I know maybe they don't have a choice or whatever. Some people volunteer. Some people are like, tribute. And you know what I want to see? Just one guy in there and the buzzer goes off and they all run and one guy that just stops and just stands there and he's like, I just want to see a fucking psychopath. Just like finds Rue, wears her face and he's just on the hunt. Someone like just make it fun. There's nothing. I saw an article on one of the film trade sites that was like, are they going to keep doing these? Of course they are. They make money. But they would make more money if they were good. Okay, we're moving on because I just do not care at all. Right, Tom Holland was talking about knowing, he said, I know when Miles Morales is coming into the franchise. And I saw a few people that were running with it that were like, Miles Morales confirmed. Well, I mean, they've said for years, but they haven't said who. Basically, Kevin Feige explained in an interview that they're waiting until the Spider-Verse films are done and then bringing them over themselves. They just wanted to get those out of the way, I guess, so there's no crossover. Which, by the way, Disney have got this weird thing about, like, because DC, they're just like, well, we'll put our heroes in everything. I mean, Gotham Knights and Titans are the exact same series. It's just Batman's dead, or he's Jorah from Game of Thrones. But he's not Batman in. We do it ourselves. Like, they didn't put... Marvel refused Disney refused Star Wars and Marvel for Ready Player One. Because they were like, we're using them. Well, yeah, but it just makes no sense. It's very strange, is what I'm saying. But... yeah, so I saw a few people running with this, and I honestly think it's just that. They have a rough idea, and it's just, as soon as they're done with that, Tom Holland's going to take over. By the way, at 20 million film now going forward, and back-end deals, they're probably going to kill him off sooner than you realise, because they're going to have to be like, it's getting expensive. Especially after that Odyssey money. Wild. Yes, so... just before I started doing this, I had a whole bunch of notes, and we are doing Spider-Man spoilers, by the way. They are coming up. So in 4 days, the Spider-Man Brand New Day has already made just shy of $1 billion, just under, at 900. It is second only to Endgame by 3 million at 927 million. Again, it's really Tom Holland's year, isn't it? He's got abs. He's got billion-dollar films coming up. He's got Zendaya. What's going on? I might have to write a strongly worded email. We're moving on. But yeah, Miles Morales in the MC. I do want to see him, but he said about passing the torch. I really like how in the Spider-Man games, for a brief period anyway, you get both occupying New York, and I don't see what's wrong with that. I hope we don't have to just kill one to bring the other in. I would like to still see him about, because I think he's a terrific actor. I think he's actually fantastic. And now he's picking better roles as well, which is great because I want to see him do more. And yeah, so all right, we're moving on. Okay, I love this. Right, so Vin Diesel came out this week and said the script for Fast Forever is the best he's ever read, or best he's read in decades. My apologies for getting that wrong. That's it. I got nothing on that one. What am I meant to say? Come on, Vin. No one cares. No one cares. This franchise, man. Just, I couldn't tell you what the last one's about. I could tell you that it ended with Vin holding his kid, who aged like 50 years in 2 films, by the way, as the water from a dam came down and he was faced away. Now, I can tell you how the next one's going to start. You're going to have a CGI Paul Walker pull up and he's going to go, "Get in, family," and then they're going to drive off. Or he's just going to swim away with his kid, even though, well, they would just be absolutely fucking decimated. But it's fine. Does anyone believe this? I don't. Moving on. We're moving on because this. Okay, so Wonder Man was cancelled after it was announced not a couple of months ago that they're moving forward with season 2. So Andrew Guest came out and said the contracts were signed, schedules were sorted, but even he doesn't know why this was cancelled. I can't lie. I'm gutted with this. I genuinely am gutted. I mean, I put out my video a little while back called The Wonder Man Problem. Now, the Wonder Man Problem was you're failing from success. You have an incredible series set in a superhero world about Wonder Man superhero, or, and he gains these amazing powers. But it's not action-based. It is fully character-based. There's no big superhero fights. There's no punches thrown. There's nothing. I mean, the most he does, spoiler for the last scene, he flies through the ceiling. Steals old Ben Kingsley, flies through the ceiling. So I thought, going forward, you would have to explain, well, okay, there's going to be a tonal shift because now he's going to have to do some superhero stuff. Or do you keep the same aesthetic and you have a superhero show with no superheroes, which is fine because it worked. Because you grew to love the characters and how they interacted and their story and the meta commentary on Hollywood and more than that, you got like an understanding of what actors sort of experience when they're coming up, whether it's auditioning and the awkward conversations dealing with weirdos, because let's be honest, they're all nutcases. And Yahya Abdul-Mateen was incredible, like genuinely incredible. So I can't work out for the life of me why they've now decided that this isn't working going forward. It doesn't. I can't rack my brain. But then, does that create bad blood? Because they said, oh well, somebody said, well, these characters will be seen going forward. But is he going to want to come back when you've pulled the rug out from under him? Because I know, okay, I don't know what the contracts are, but I know if that were me, well, I'd take the paycheck because I'm broke. But if I was a better man with better morals, then I probably wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, anyway, okay, I'm gutted about this. I do hope we see him again. I hope he pops up somewhere. I think he's too good of an actor. And it's too well written that they were literally just about to go into the writer's room. That they have to come back to some capacity. They have to. I think so. Okay, moving on. So, the X-Men, we've got a little bit of X-Men casting coming out. So, apparently Cooper Hoffman, there was backlash to him because, correct me if I'm wrong. No, he did The Long Walk. Fantastic. A lot of walking, but fantastic. And then he was eyed up for Scott Summers. I'd only ever seen good things. So when he's talking on the red carpet about, well, people don't like the sound of that, I'd never heard that. That was all new to me. But it is the internet. And it is a series of echo chambers and vitriol. So, depends on which rabbit hole you go down, you're going to find something, But the other one was Jensen Ackles being cast for Magneto. Now, I have to be honest, I don't like this, and I love Jensen Ackles. I love him. I think he's fantastic. I watched Supernatural when that was coming out, 2005. I was 9, shouldn't have been watching it. Right up until the end. And then watched it multiple times ever since. I will, if this channel ever blows up, my goals, I don't have many, to fight Jack Doherty on Misfits and beat him up, teach him some manners, get a Chevy Impala. Anyway, so Samara Weaving has been cast as Emma Frost, Hugo Weaving's niece. Didn't know that until today, but she was obviously in The Babysitter. She was in the Ready or Not series. She popped up in Scream. Now, and there's been a bunch of other casting things. I'm not going to go through the entire list, and I'll tell you why. Because even though I do watch films religiously, because I don't have any friends, but I love films and TV, so... But it makes me happy is that even though that is pretty much my life, I mean, I occasionally go to the gym and pretend to lift stuff. I just sort of make grunting noises and slam the bar back down and go, and it seems to be working, right? It's my socialising. Even though, you know, my life is centred around films and TV, I don't know any of the people being cast, and I think that is really, really good. Because when you got the original X-Men, okay, no one knew who Hugh Jackman was, but you had Halle Berry, you had Patrick Stewart, you had Ian McKellen, you had James Marsden, Famke Janssen, you know, you had all these established names, big names, and I like that we don't have that going forward. You know, I'm hoping you get a blend of both, because I do think that people on the up and coming should be given a chance to show what they can do and bring something new and unique to these characters. And I just, oh yeah, going back to it. Jensen Ackles, I love him. I think he's fantastic. I don't think he's right for Magneto. I think I'd love to see him in the MCU, although I do think he's more DCU based. I want him as the DC Batman. I think he'd be fantastic Batman. I really do. But I just don't see him as Magneto. But yeah, as for the rest of the casting, but there was one girl who they were looking for someone else, and she lobbied really hard for the role because she's a fan. At least that's the story, but I mean, actor wants role. Nothing wrong with that. Go and get it. And I do kind of like those stories as well. I'm super excited for this. Genuinely. I'm more excited for this than I thought I would be. I have to be honest. Well, X-Men, I was like, okay. I hope we get a Zac Efron as Wolverine. That's my pick. I think he'd be fantastic as Wolverine. Have to be honest. And then Boss Logic will do a poster of the end of The Greatest Showman where he's like got the thing and he's like, what will you be doing? Watching my kids grow up? But instead of what does he hand him? The hat and the cane, it'll be the claws. I have too much time on my hands. Okay. Yeah, so anyway, I'm super excited for this. Who's your casting picks, by the way? Like, have you got anyone that you think about who you think is going to be a really good idea? People you don't want to see? The Magneto one's difficult because you've had two perfect castings. Genuinely perfect castings. Like, Fassbender brought this sort of young, unparalleled rage. But Ian McKellen, for somebody who was doing the acts that he was doing, he brought like a warmth and a charm. But you believe they're the same character. So, yeah, I'm intrigued. Let me know what you think down below. Do all the liking and commenting and subscribing as well, because, well, I'm desperate for validation and I need friends. Okay, moving on. All right, now we get to the meat and potatoes, the big stuff, the good stuff. Right, so I'm not going to do a full breakdown of the film. I'm because I just watched Jeremy John's spoiler review, and this was my plan, was to say something similar, which was just, I'm not going to cover the whole film, because that would be ludicrous and ridiculous, and I haven't seen it enough times to do that. But I am going to talk about some of the things that I really liked. And spoilers, right? We're doing spoilers for Spider-Man. This is spoilers. It says it right here. If my editing's right, spoilers. See this? And you see this scene in the trailer, but when he goes to the party to see... He follows Ned, right? Which is perfectly normal thing to do, to follow a guy into a party. And he sees the wall and they have the big conversation. And then he follows Ned out while he's talking to MJ. And Tom Holland's got this amazing... The way he can convey a multitude of emotions without saying a single word. And he stood in the middle of the party and he's watching MJ and she's happy without him because obviously she doesn't remember. And in the context of the movie, it's heartbreaking. It is really heartbreaking. You're looking at him, he's watching the love of his life with someone else who doesn't remember him. And you can see in his face, he's completely broken. Out of context, to them in the film, he looks like a nutcase. He's just stood in the middle of the room, just... Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't act, so that was a different face. But the way... It just made me laugh because I thought this is genuinely really sweet. But if you put yourself in the space of the movie, that's fucking terrifying. Like, if Ned would have turned around and gone, he followed me. He was in like the bodega and now he's here and he's just watching us. Call the police. Like, call them now. Go in the room and lock you. Do you know what I mean? Like, creepy. This scene. So I cried watching this film so many times. The scene when Peter and MJ are on the roof and I cried like a baby when they kiss and they have this whole I remember speech and then you find out it was Jean Grey possessing her. I was genuinely like, there's no coming back for this girl. Like, whatever they do to try and redeem her is not going to work for me. It fucking did, by the way. It absolutely did. I was like, no, fair enough. When she's looking back, Sadie Sink is incredible in this role. Like, genuinely incredible. And I saw somebody earlier as well talking about the shout out to the stunt actors. So when they're jumping through bodies, every single body that they jumped into gave it their all. And I feel like I haven't seen enough. I've seen one person talk about it. And that's it. But Sadie Sink is incredible. That scene when she's hanging back, she's looking back, she's getting blasted, pause, and she looks up and sees the VMAX. And I cried so, but her acting is incredible. And this is the other thing I wanted to talk about, my non-spoiler. I'm pretty certain she killed a lot of people, right? Like a lot of people. Are we just going to gloss over that going forward? Because if she didn't kill a lot of people, they're definitely disabled and living with permanent injuries. But then saying that, the Insomniac Spider-Man and all the Spider-Man games, and, you know, if we want to move, like, Arkham games do the same thing, where they're like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to check you're alive. Especially when they're delivering those. And Spider-Man does it in this. He does an Insomniac Spider-Man takedown on Scorpion and a bunch of people. Like, I'm not even sure he's pulling his punches half the film. I'm pretty certain Spider-Man murders just as much as the Punisher. Okay. But after... And also want to talk about... So, when MJ says, I don't love you, to Peter, again, cried. A grown man, deal with it. And he still swings her back. He is a better man than me. Because I tell you what, I wouldn't... No. You're going to take me home? No. I'll leave you on a roof. Like, absolute insanity to even insinuate that this would be a thing. I'd be swinging on the upswing. Just, yeah, sorry, I'll try and catch you. I wouldn't. But I'm scared of women, so I wouldn't be in that position in the first place to be told that. So, joke's on them, really. I think the strength of Spider-Man Brand New Day for me was the relationship with Ned and MJ and Spider-Man. Don't get me wrong, the action's great. I love seeing the Punisher. I've said this before. The 2004 Punisher film is the film that got me into comic books. And then, you know, the game and everything from that. And then from there, I went out and got comics when I was a kid. So the only ones I could really get were like Spider-Man's. Somehow I couldn't get a Punisher comic, but I could get the Punisher game. But, which was brilliant, and that needs a remaster. But those scenes where, even just when they're sitting around and they're just talking and Peter's in the mask and MJ's drawing, like, you got to think how alone he was for so long. That must have been, like, so hard. That moment there is probably the happiest he was in such a long time, and that really did. I thought it was beautifully done. Jacob Batalon, I don't think gets enough credit in this or in anything really. I would like to see him pop up in more, but I do wonder about the final scene. Did Jean unlock their memories when she did the spell, or was it muscle memory when he starts doing the handshake thing? I was doing it under here, and that looked sus. Anyway, also I want to say, Yelena. So Florence Pugh's in this, okay? Who, by the way, incredible. as Black Widow. She's fantastic. I think she's fantastic, to be fair, in everything I've seen her in. But when she's talking to Spider-Man and she's like, well, we deal with the big potato stuff, you deal with the little potato stuff. Is she forgetting that he fought Thanos? Like, straight hands and feet and webbing. Like, he was there at the battle. Like, he's done. He should really pull up, right? He should pull up and fight her bare knuckle, right? In that room. Just straight hands. And be like, I'm Spider-Man, bitch. Because, like, I really like her. I think she's fantastic. But the way that they talk, or she talks to him, I was thinking, he'd mollywop your entire team. Like, every single one of them. And I love Bucky. I think he's top 3, maybe top 5 MCU characters for me. Spider-Man runs through that entire group with little to no effort. Like, it would be a bloodbath, a massacre. Especially if he stops making jokes. I think the only one that would have trouble is Sentry, but even then, I think he'd figure it out. He'd science it. Put the little neck thing on and then whoop him again. And it did make me laugh because I was thinking, what? Like, really? Maybe chill out on the whole big potato stuff, but I want to talk about Punisher. The first scene you see in the van. Okay, I hate how much of this film I saw in the trailer. I hate it. That Sony needs to stop doing this. But when Spider-Man takes the first gun from him and Punisher laughs and pulls out another one, that really got me because it's like, you've done this before. And their entire relationship, when Spider-Man's like, this is way above your pay grade, I had a moment where I was like, does he not know he's oh, it's the Hulk. But also, that's above Spider, because the Hulk, I mean, Spider-Man doesn't last in that fight. Like, it's pretty clear cut. And I like how, I feel like Hulk's been nerfed a lot recently. And I don't mind the Smart Hulk as much as everyone else. But I think the best version of the Hulk is the Hulk from the animated Avengers series, where he's Rage Hulk, not Smart Hulk, but he's in his Hulk form all the time. But he just has that voice, you know, he's like, I'm still the Hulk. And he just walks around like this, smash. And then he's like, I'll get a sandwich. Like, but he still the fucking Hulk and he'll still smash the shit out of stuff. I think that's probably the best version, if you're doing it like that. But like the cringy Hulk out, like, yeah, I get it because that's how Bruce would be. But that feels like Spider-Man 3 when Peter's doing the dancing, and it's like, well, that's because to him that's what a cool guy would look like and do. But we all know that I'm not a cool guy either, so I can guess, but I'm sure it wouldn't be finger gun. But I want to see more Savage Hulk, because he should be the nuclear threat, and I hate what the Russo brothers did to him because I think in that opening scene when he's like, Loki's like, well, we have a Hulk, I think he should have fought Thanos to a draw, to the point that they thought that the ship was going to get torn apart, and then the Bifrost opened and took him. And I don't think, I understand you beat the Hulk and it sets the tone for how dangerous you are, but I feel like, well, he hasn't been savage enough in such a long time that it doesn't really matter. But in this, we got him back, and it felt it. There's a scene when he's got Spider-Man, he's like by the throat, and the CGI is fucking incredible, by the way, but you get to see the sheer size of him and how dangerous he really is. And I was like, well, you know Spider-Man's not going to die. Even though there was the leaks, which I sort of was like, okay, I can see it, because I'd heard that the post-credit, he comes back, his black suit, but I'm glad they didn't do that. But then when he got shot by Punisher, I was like, well, now he definitely doesn't die, because the Punisher wouldn't... If they did that, there would be backlash, but also Punisher would probably just off himself, because I don't think he could handle that. Does that make sense? I don't think it's in his character to, like, if he killed someone innocent, to just keep going. I think that would be the final straw for him, especially a kid, one that he's, you know, kind of bonded with. But I do, yeah. I love the Punisher in this. I do think he's absolutely fantastic. The final moments when he's in the hospital room and he's like, did you cry? that their bond, their chemistry, especially because they spend the entire time arguing, I think is amazing. But I do want to say this, when Jean goes into his mind and then goes, oh, you're all kinds of messed up, I think that should have been done a little differently. And I'll tell you why. Because when Jean goes into his mind, right, understand that at this point, she's lost her sister, who she doesn't know is dead. When Frank describes losing his daughter to Daredevil, he says, the last time I held my baby, there was meat spilling out of where her face used to be. I just want to say that last bit again, all right? There was meat spilling out of where her face used to be. That's his fucking daughter, right? Jean has never faced anything like that. And I think that scene should have played out a little differently, because when you seeing those kind of horrors, I feel like should have pulled her out more or done something different. I just, for me, that didn't really work as much as everything else, because that kind of horror, especially for a kid like Jean, I don't think she's just going, oh, that's not cool. I genuinely think that is completely breaking her. I really do, because I know that'd mess me up, you know, like, and I always make sure when I commit a murder that there's not too much meat about, do you know what I mean? So, but maybe that's because I'm a clean freak. Let's say that, and I've got this mess. Also, every time Tom Holland goes into the bodega, we see the Bureau crates. Product placement, I just thought was cool. So did Peter Parker create the anti-mutant chip? He definitely set that off, right? That's definitely what that's going to be. I just found that interesting. I loved this film. I thought this film was absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I did have my issues. And it's mainly just plot points like that. There's a moment right after the hospital scene, because I saw somebody online that was like, well, how did Peter survive? Well, one, Jean was breathing for him, right? But also, because they were like, well, it's inconsistent because he got slammed by the Hulk, but then the bullet, you know, a 50 cal bullet, if that touches a torso, it turns it into a fine red mist, like throwing a slushy at a wall. If you ever spilled a pot of paprika, like that, just dust. One of those party poppers and they just explode. It does that to a human body. So the fact that it just went in and then he bled and then she breathed for him, which obviously she kept him alive, I think that's absolutely beautiful. And I hope we do see more of their relationship going forward. Tells you how durable he actually is. And Yelena should put some respect on our boy's name. But I just found that really interesting. But after the hospital scene, and he walks out into the crowd and Frank's going, fucking brilliant, by the way. You can tell that he was a dad. They didn't need to do all that, but it was great. And he's in the crowd and he's just looking around and the admiration. And then he sees the boy and he just sort of gives him a little, you know, I was a mess. I'm mascara running. Just like snot bubble, dribble, the works. That says so much without, you know, without really saying anything. And I absolutely loved that. I thought this film was absolutely fantastic. Those were just some of the things off the top of my head that I just really wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk the spoilers, because if we're really going to do it, we could sit here for hours and go bit by bit. Even like the action, the way it's shot. So it honoured the John Watts version, but it felt so different to anything that we've ever had before. And that, so do you remember when the leaks came out and they were shot in London and Glasgow on the rig and the, you know, the spiders moving? Things like that made such a difference to how they felt in the film. I was completely blown away by it. Okay, so I'm trying to do my rankings for where this is at, because I don't know if I like this more than No Way Home. I need to see it again before I make my decision. And I'm going to be honest, and I know it's the unpopular opinion, the first Amazing Spider-Man I think is one of the best. So I was going to do like a blind ranking or just a ranking just off the dome. But I think I need more time. Because this might be top 5 Spider-Man film, but I don't know if it's top 3. So I really, really need to have a think. Yeah. Okay. So, by the way, if you haven't yet, please make sure you like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helps out with the channel, helps out. And let me know what you think about Spider-Man. I want to know everything. I do reply to every comment, or I try to. I do. I reply to every comment. I reply to them all. I love this stuff. And the shorts have been doing really well recently, and that's where we've been having loads of conversation. So, because I love it, and I love everyone that takes time out of their day to call me a fucking dumbass or tell me something that they love about films. I appreciate all of it. So, yeah, so thank you so much. And I can't wait to have a discussion about it. Right, I'm off until the next one. Thank you guys. Take care.